Hi guys. Hi everyone. My name is Salamata. Welcome back. Welcome back to Salamata speaking. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you. Like the fact that the universe has brought you here in this moment to listen to me speak to you right now is amazing. It's fascinating. It's beautiful. Thank you for being here. I appreciate your time and your presence. Like thank you for listening. I hope you enjoy the podcast. If you have any feedback of any sorts, DM me on Instagram. It's Salamata0. That's Salamata0. And let's get into the pod. But I found it more urgently to speak about how the world is so obsessed with controlling women's bodies. Like, what is this? What? What? I'm not understanding. So, I want to talk about dress codes specifically and how women like to present themselves in relation to like new fashion trends, but also the patriarchy and the male gaze. Because if you think about it, like hijabis who are completely covered, and that's like for religious reasons and like the relationship to God. Um, and the reason you wear hijab is to like identify yourself as a Muslim. Like most people don't know that, but that's like number one reason why people like the Quran says to wear the hijab is you are identifying yourself as a Muslim. Um, I remember hearing the story a while ago, but it was basically like um, when Islam first became a religion and people were following it, Muslims started recognizing each other when they would like disappear for prayer time and they would all be busy. They were able to identify that those were the Muslims. um if they like stopped drinking, stopped smoking, and were becoming better people, people pointed out that, oh, those are Muslims. And over time they were finding ways to identify each other, and wearing the hijab was one of the reasons. I've also heard that wearing the hijab came from women back in the day being attacked because they dress Game of Thrones style is the way the guy explained it, where like they had their breasts out and it was just very old school back in the day, like not a lot of seams in any of the clothing. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to tell the women to wear hoods that cover their breasts so that they could be protected and they could all be unified so that they can't be individualized and attacked. um I don't know if there's any truth to that, but I've been told that story as well. And I think modern day now, like to wear the hijab in a society where it's so much more easier and so much more common and so much trendier to like wear crop tops and short shorts. Like I think about so often becoming a hijabi because I am Muslim, and I don't know, I'd feel like I'd be so much better about my faith and spirituality if I wore the hijab. And then on days that I do wear the hijab, I notice that I'm so much better with it because there's a physical reminder of this relationship to Allah that I have. And so I think today in the modern world, it's so much harder to dress modestly and cover up because of what is being normalized. Um, and I keep seeing this debate on TikTok. Is it more feminist to dress modestly, or is it more feminist to dress I don't want to say skimpy, but like to wear less clothes and to be more sexy and revealing? Um, and what I my answer is like it depends on who you are. It depends on what you want, and it is made complicated by the male gaze and the patriarchy, because femininity. I keep saying femininity, but feminism only exists because of the patriarchy. Feminism is fighting the patriarchy. Um, and men putting down women and deciding that they should not be allowed to have abortions. And I do want to talk about the abortion thing. and say I am using the word women and female, stuff like that, because that's primarily who was affected by this. But people with uteruses, like, I apologize that the world is trying to control us. I'll just look the title, the definition of a patriarchy, because I keep using it, and there could be somebody out there who doesn't know what the word means. And my new thing is, like, I say a lot of big words sometimes, and I can't give you a textbook definition, and I want to get better at that. Like, I know, like, life isn't a spelling bee, but, like, isn't it just cool to know words and know what they mean and where they come from, and derivative derivative deri- derivative deri- I know the word and I know what it means. Derivative is like where something comes from. But I can't say it. I promise, guys, I'm not stupid. I just derivative. There's too many V's in this. Like, who would do this to me? Derivative. Derivative. You guys, I'm so sorry. But it's something that's based on another source. Yeah. Derivative is like coming from something else. See, you guys, vocab word number one, derivative. Use it in a few sentences. Smarter by the second. Patriarchy is defined as a system of society or government in which the father or eldest male is head of the family, and decent descent is traced through the male line. So it's basically when men are the rulers, men, boys, brothers, fathers are the rulers. I love that there are matriarchies around the world. And it's so unfortunate that they're dying out. Like I'm about to just move to the middle of Kenya and, infiltrate myself into a matriarchy to keep it going. That's such a genius idea. I always joke about, like, oh, I want to start a cult. But what if I just keep starting clubs of, like, feminism, and women are protected and women are honored and here are resources and stuff. I bet those things exist, but, like, are they accessible? Like, why don't I know about them? I gotta change my algorithm. I feel like once you change your algorithm, you can find anything. Um, I'm taking AP psychology, and one of our assignments was to watch A Social Dilemma. Before this class, I already watched it, so I've watched the documentary 3 times already, and it's fascinating every time I watch it. It's just like, it's insane. Like, how have we all just accepted that, like, we're being monitored and tracked, and that social media negatively affects us? Um, how we think, how we interact, and social media literally changes how we think and who we are and who we become. And obviously, that can all be positive, right? But, like, nothing in this world is all positive except for you see, I was gonna say except for babies because they're so pure, but, like, they be pooping on themselves and, like, screaming. So even babies. So um, God, I'm trying to think of something wholly pure, like, just like perfect. Nothing is perfect. Moving on. It's so strange that social media can literally alter the way we think, and that could be negative. Like, that could be really positive, but it is often is negative, and it's so crazy to, like, read the statistics of how many teen girls are being admitted to hospitals because of social media and self-image issues. Like, that's so strange. And literally, I was walking one day, and I was, like, walking towards my friend to meet up with her, and I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe, like, she doesn't think she's attractive. Like, I can't believe she has self-esteem issues. Like, she's one of the most beautiful humans I know." And I was like, and for so long, and, like, right now she doesn't believe that, and maybe for so much longer she won't believe it. And there isn't, like, I can't tell her enough how beautiful she is for her to believe that unless she believes it for herself. And it was just, like, one of those sad moments. Like, I was just pulling up I was just pulling up to hang out with her, and that's what I was thinking about. And, it's so strange that, like, social media has that big of an effect on us, and we just continue living on here, even though we know that. Like, it's so interesting that like the people who work in these tech companies don't allow their children to be on social media or like monitor their kids' social media and mental health and all that because they know how severe it is. And like for a long time, this hasn't been public information, and then it became public information. People were still kind of like, I don't care. I guess like keep tracking me, keep saying what I say, and the marketing of it all, like they make so much money off of us. Like I'm kind of jealous. Like and we don't ever get a piece of the pie because we're the ones who are buying the products that they're advertising to us, and they're literally using. I'm so sorry. I moved the mic, and I apologize to you guys. Um, and they literally use the amount of scrolling and the things we interact with to show us products, and then we buy the products. Like that's so crazy. Like, uh, I was talking about how I want pants that like fit me because I'd say it. We out here rocking a pre BBL body. No, I'm kidding. But um, I really have a hard time finding pants that fit my waist and my hips. And I was talking about it. Like I've been talking about it for a few days now, and I'm scrolling through my reels, and it's like when you find pants that fit your waist and your hips. And it was like a TikTok dance, obviously. And then it was like, oh, link in bio. The way I ran to that bio, it was crazy. And like I knew that that's what social media does, and I still ran to that bio because I don't think like no matter how aware you are of it, like psychologically, like you're hardwired to do that. You're hardwired to interact with the content that like speaks to you, that the algorithm has chosen for you. So that was all really really weird. But back to the patriarchy controlling women's bodies, I think it's pretty feminist to do what you want with your body, but I can't decide if I agree with that if you're a minor. Like I don't know because like generally I do. I feel like women should have I feel like anybody should, you know, have control over their body and what they get to wear and, you know, the type of health they have. Especially with the COVID vaccine situation, like I think everybody has the right um to choose what they want to do with their bodies, you know. I told someone like, "Oh, why don't you have the vaccine?" Because I have the vaccine and I have a public health internship, and a big part of what we're doing now is trying to get more teens and young adults to get vaccinated. And so I've just been asking classmates and people who aren't vaccinated like, "Why aren't they vaccinated?" And I honestly haven't heard a legitimate answer for why people aren't being vaccinated, which is the only reason I'm upset. Because if you have a legitimate like concern for why you aren't getting vaccinated, and like that makes sense, in which case you can look for answers and solutions to your problems. But to just be like, yeah, I don't want to get vaccinated, like I don't want to get vaccinated. And there's no like conspiracy theory after it. Like I low key appreciate the people who are like, I don't want to get vaccinated because the 5G towers is what's in the COVID, and we're gonna die anyway because the 5G towers. Like that. I was entertained. It's obviously not true, and I can like tell them like, guys, like, this isn't true. Here are the facts. These are the ingredients of the vaccine. This is how the vaccine was developed, and I can send them links and resources and all that. But people are just like, I haven't gotten it because I don't want it. Why don't you want it? I don't want it. That's annoying. Because like, help me do my job. Which is why I'd never work in the health field. Yay. I'm looking at colleges right now, and a big part of that is like, what career do you want to go into? And I know I don't have to choose now, but like, if I'm gonna be paying for college, we gotta land on a career that's gonna make me not depressed and that's gonna make me money. So working on it. I took a Myers Briggs test. I think that's what they're called. And I was looking at the job that would help me. So I recommend that for anyone. Take a personality test. They're so fun. Like the ones on BuzzFeed are pretty great, but also like the Myers Briggs which like actually uses like a lot of psychology to figure out what kind of person you are, and then it breaks down like who you are as a child, as a parent, what you are in the workspace, like what kind of job do you have, you know, how you like to relax, how you need to come back from being burnt out. All those things is pretty phenomenal. It's pretty I feel like I'm getting into the category of self-help now, which like would make sense because I need to learn how to self-soothe. I'm going to college. Going to college. Oh, that's so weird to say. So, because I talked a lot about how I hate that the abortion ban exists in Texas and like a lot of um southern states, conservative states, I should say, um, are trying to like create an abortion ban, and Roe versus Wade is on the brink of being overthrown. I want to talk about birth control methods. I have a graph open here, and I'm gonna tell you guys about it. So there's the implant, which there's Nexplanon, which lasts 3 years. It is inserted in your arm by a medical provider, a professional, um, and you keep it there for 3 years. If you want to remove it, I think you can remove it any time, but it will prevent you from being preggers for 3 years. When you have the implant, you still need to use condoms to prevent yourself from catching STDs, STIs. And there's the IUD. There's a Skyla IUD, and there's the Mirena. The Skyla IUD is 3 years, and then the Mirena is 5 years. And this is also inserted. This one goes in your uterus by your medical provider, and the Skyla lasts 3 years, and the Mirena IUD lasts 5 years. And when you're on this, you still need to use condoms to prevent from STIs or STDs. Now, I think this is my favorite one because I think this concept is pretty cool. Um, the IUD, the Paragard, lasts 12 years and it's hormone free. And this one is inserted by a professional. And most people like to describe it like once it's inserted and you don't have any problems and you're meeting your checkups, and your period is regular, you just forget about it. And again, you still need to use condoms with all of these to prevent STDs and STIs. That's really important. I think a lot of people forget that. Please wear condoms, guys. Practice safer sex. I love the analogy that there's no such thing as safe sex because sex puts you at a risk for pregnancy if you're having, you know, quote unquote straight sex. Like I don't know what to call it. Penis and vagina. And if your body has the tools, you and your partner's bodies have the tools together to make a baby, you might want to think about protection options. Okay, and then there's sterilization for men and women, and that lasts forever, unless you undo it. In which case, it's still a process, and it's always a maybe. And then there's a middle tier, which is the okay tier, is what we call it. There's the pill, and this is the most common one. I feel like everybody knows what the pill is. It's a row of pills. And there's 3 rows that are hormones and like you can't get pregnant, and then there's one row for 7 days. That's how long a week is, Salamata, that you take when you're on your period. And I heard if you want to skip your period, you just don't take those pills, and your period will jump. That's very exciting. But the thing about the pill is you need to remember to take it every single day, and you need to be consistent for it to work because that's how hormones work. So there is something called the patch. I didn't know about this till like this summer when I had to go through this training. But the patch is something you can learn to insert. It's you don't have to insert it. You place it somewhere on your body. It could be on your arm, it could be on your thighs, and you do that every week. Is that so exciting? Like fascinating the way we have advanced in technology. And then there's the ring, and I'm pretty sure the ring you can insert for yourself as well. Like I think professionals will teach you how to do it for the first time, but if you feel comfortable enough, I think you can insert the ring for yourself. This one is vaginal, and you get a new one every month. There's a shot which is Depo Provers, and the shot is every 3 months. A lot of people talk about like gaining a lot of weight when they get the shot because you have more water retention. I think on any birth control, your body is bound to change a little bit because you're adding hormones into your body, except for the IUD, the Paragard, which is hormone free. Whoa! Um, the worst methods of contraception. I swear I can say the word. Withdrawal. Don't do it. Don't do it. The pullout game ain't never that strong. And then there's a diaphragm. I don't even want to explain that one. And then there's fertility awareness. And this is what's also called the family planning method. Something very similar to this. Like, every Mormon, like, mommy blogger who lives in Utah is like, oh, we family plan. And they're like, oh my God, we're having a baby. And I always want to be like, why are you surprised you're having a baby? You're putting it on a calendar. Never mind. But I love watching their vlogs. Get ready with me with 2 under 2. Literally brings me joy. After a long day, sometimes Asp and Ovard is all you want to watch. Sarah Therese, one of my faves. Anyway, me trying to live a Utah mom lifestyle. But fertility awareness is when you track the days that you're ovulating and you just don't engage in sexual activity when you're ovulating. And then condoms, believe it or not, is in this bottom tier. And condoms prevent from STIs and they prevent from unwanted pregnancies. The reason all of these are in this tier is because it depends on how you do it. Like you have to make sure you do it accurately every single time for it to be just even a little bit effective. I think the confusing one to the one that I want to explain is the implant because I didn't know what the implant was. Like that was the one that like had me lost. It's basically something. It's like a little stick. Look it up. It's really cute. And they insert it in your upper arm, and it releases hormones to prevent ovulation. It can be used for up to 3 years, but studies show it can protect for up to 5 years. It can cause irregular periods, or it could completely stop your period. So I also want to end on like you don't have to get on birth control just because you don't want to get pregnant. You can get on birth control because you want to stop your period. You can get on birth control because you're tired of having acne. You can get on birth control for all the reasons in the world. And for a lot of people who live in New York City, Planned Parenthood got you for the hookup. And if you go to my school, we have a school-based health center that will hook you up with birth control. Just DM me, and I'll help you with that. These old white men are gonna have us like try to conform to what they believe in by banning abortion, but I think it's so important to know that like you have options and it's your body and you need to make sure you're making the right decisions for you. Um you can also not be on birth control because you don't want to be on birth control. That's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Sometimes you need that hormone free lifestyle. I'm being a teenager is hard and adding hormones on top of that goes crazy. Um but just remember that you have options and you need to do what's best for you. So, October is Violence Prevention Month, and violence isn't intentional behavior that injures, abuses, threatens, or belittles another person, group, or community. It can happen anywhere at home, street, or school. I think we often think about violence as like something physical, like you hitting someone or somebody hitting you or being pushed, like physical. But I think it's important to add that like violence could be like threatening and like belittling. Because psychologically, like it has pretty much the same effect on you. So I love that that's the definition of violence that we got. And so at my campus, I've been going around and having people do pledges. And one of my favorite pledges is I pledge to protect and be nice to my community members. Because this person and a lot of people kind of said a similar thing or are kind of saying like I will personally be nice and when I witness violence in any way, I will try to intervene and protect. And then we have like better communities. Um, Violence rates are insane. Domestic violence rates are insane, and they often, affect women, women of color at that. Um, Women in like low income situations, and that's really heartbreaking to think about. And I love that my school has a school-based health center with New York Presbyterian to like have these conversations to make sure that people at a young age who haven't had like a proper depiction of love specifically kind of know like red flags. Like I know the red flags like meme is trending right now, but like it's important to know the red flags, like what to run away from and like how to honor who you are. And somebody asked me to give relationship advice. And literally, I'll do it because like I need to record a podcast and I need things to talk about. But I think the biggest thing for relationship is boundaries and to speak through expectations and set boundaries. Like, what do you expect from your partner? What does your partner expect from you? So, is it just like my big thing is 30 minutes of undivided attention to just catch up and have conversation and laugh, Because how can I be in love with you if I'm not talking to you? You see how that works? And it could be different for everyone. It could be like one date a week. It can be every time you see me, you bring me my favorite snack. I like doing that one. It can be, just small things like you just expect to like keep the relationship going. Um like I have this weird thing where I don't like to say I love you too often. Like, when someone's like, I love you too. Because my whole philosophy is if you truly love someone, like you can't love them unconditionally. Like I feel like unconditional love is so made up. Like I you gotta love on conditions, okay? The conditions, they're treating you properly. They're treating you properly, they're taking care of themselves. There are conditions. I saw this video a while ago and it was like unconditional love is BS because if you kill my mother right now, would I still love you? No, you killed my mother, And from that point on, I started seeing it like unconditional love isn't real. I think I have phenomenal friends. Like, I think that's the one thing too. Having great friends, having great people around you is like the key to success. 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 Having good people around you is the key to success. Your friends, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, they gotta be top notch shit. So you could be top notch shit. Hello. We elevate with the squad. I love that. I feel like it's so depressing to give you statistics on domestic violence cases because they're bad. And just like violence in general. Okay, 1 in 4 women and 1 in 7 men will experience severe physical violence by an intimate partner in their lifetime. 1 in 4 women. If you put 4 women in a room, at least one of them is gonna have like experience physical violence. Wow, that's crazy. All these statistics are heartbreaking. There's a lot on sexual violence, um, which is like weird, like how many accounts of sexual violence are recorded versus how many they actually are, because you know what happens is people don't feel comfortable reporting because like that is traumatic. Assault is traumatic. Um or what happens is they can't get like their medical report in time for it to count. There's so many ways that sexual violence aren't calculated. So you see so many. If I encourage you to look up the statistic on your own, because like I'm putting this out into the world and there wasn't a trigger warning at the beginning. So I'm not going to like disclose that information because it's heartbreaking. But when you look at that number, there are probably more who that haven't been reported because like a police officer felt like it wasn't something serious to report. Um like they didn't get to a medical worker on time to actually have medical files to report. It's just so heartbreaking. I'm looking at colleges, and one of the things I have to look at is like the amount of cases, like sexual assault cases, a college has, because sexual violence on campus, especially for someone who wants to dorm like myself, like it's a big issue. And then you have to look at safety, and that's so weird because why is that a thing? Like we should just live in a world where people are safe. Like I have to talk to black people at the school and be like, this is a PWI. Like, how racist are they? Look them up on your own. Safe Horizon has the statistics, and their website is updated and they're a reputable source. Um, and their statistics are clearly stated. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Like, I hope, you felt like you were in the room with me. You were chatting with me. Like, we're besties. Because we probably are. Um, and let me know your opinions on all these things because I want you guys to listen and I want you guys to sometimes like disagree with me and, so we can have a conversation. I really like interacting with you guys on these topics. So, with that being said, thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate your presence. Come back next week. I'll talk to you about my favorite music and we'll have a good time. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I really enjoy your presence, your time. Really, thank you for listening. Like, I can't even tell you how much I appreciate your presence right now. If you have any comments, concerns, feedback, you just want to tell me you enjoy the podcast, make sure to DM me on Instagram. I am Salamata0 on Instagram. That is SALAMATA0 on Instagram. I will be responding, so make sure you DM me.